11Alive News starts now.
Good Wednesday morning. It is January 14th. Great to be with you here on 11Alive Plus from our streaming center. If you've been watching on 11Alive Plus, you just heard the governor wrapping up there at the Eggs and Issues breakfast with the chamber at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We'll be recapping that momentarily as we come to you live from our studio. Chester McNeil joining us this morning, and we do need to talk about the weather because as you head out this morning, Chesley, it's going to be one of those days where it just gets colder as the day goes on.
That's absolutely right. We saw a temperature in the 60s yesterday with plenty of sunshine around. It was beautiful, right? And I was saying that was going to be my pick for the week.
Yep.
Because changes were coming, like the clouds, right? Clouds overhead. We didn't start off as cold because of the cloud cover. Temperatures in the 40s instead of the 20s and 30s out there. But who wants the clouds, right? You want the sunshine around. And some rain coming out of those clouds as well. As you take a look at the radar, some of the heaviest rain was down to the south of us. We really didn't see a lot here in the metro area and northward. A couple sprinkles, a couple dots on your windshield. That was it. Now just a few moderate pockets left over well down to the south that will continue to slide over toward the east. The rest of us, just the cloud cover. That's about it. We'll get another chance for some rain by the cold front that's going to make its way down to the south. As it moves in, then we'll see a few more of those isolated showers around. Not a whole lot of wet weather, but it indicates the change that's coming our way. We're in the 40s right now, a couple 30s up to the north. We'll hit the 50s this afternoon. Significant here because you can say goodbye to the 50s for a while now. You're not going to see that for a little bit. I'll show you that in just a minute, what I mean by that. All right, that front, back off to the north and west of us, you can see the light rain associated with it. That will continue to slide further down to the south. Isolated showers for us. I think that wall that you see there will start to break up as it begins to move into our area. That front will do its job, folks. It will come through, and it will knock those temperatures down. Not that long ago, Dan, last week, as a matter of fact, we spent time in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
And so this week it was on the cold side, and that front is just going to reinforce that. 30% chance for the rain for today. As we head into Saturday, that's another front that's going to move through. Right now, it's a 20% chance. Models going back and forth on that. Something we'll have to watch closely because there could be some snow down to the south of us now, according to models. Now, for this one coming through, I'll say tonight into the overnight, that's a little bit of snow. That's not a lot at all, and we're talking in the higher elevations of the North Georgia mountains. Because it will come through quickly, there's not going to be a lot of moisture associated with it, and the timing of it won't last long. So that gets in and gets right out. Now look at the temperature trend. Today we're talking 55 degrees. Tomorrow, only 37. You got to factor in the winds with that because it's going to make it feel even colder. And then we're going to stay below our average. Our average will be 54 degrees. We're going to stay there all the way into the middle of next week. It won't be until Wednesday of next week that we get back into the 50s, the end of next week that we get back into the 60s. So you got a little time here where we'll spend some time in the cold weather. So make sure your coat is good, the zippers work and everything, so when you go outside, you won't be caught off guard. Forecast track model shows again tonight later this afternoon into tonight where the rain comes back to us, scattered or isolated showers at best. Up there to the far north, you see that little bit of snow there. Drier air comes in, so that's going to wipe that out as well. Wind for us is a drying agent, so even if the roads are still wet by the time the cold air comes in, the winds will dry a lot of that up. All right, and there may be some patches in the morning on Thursday where we see some ice that forms or whatever, but it will be very patchy or isolated at best. That wind helps to dry it out. It's going to be a cold day despite the fact that we'll have the sunshine around on Thursday. I'm talking about bitterly cold. Temperatures in the 30s, but it will feel like the low 30s or 20s out there. Friday morning, we're going to start off with wind chills in the teens and single digits. Yeah, that's it. We'll moderate it a little bit there. We'll get into the upper 40s for highs on Friday afternoon with some sunshine coming back to the forecast area. Over the weekend, stays cold, 47 for the high. That secondary front comes through. Temperatures on Sunday, I got 40. But it could very well be in the 30s for highs on Sunday as well. Martin Luther King Day, we talked about this yesterday, Dan. Whatever service you have, go ahead and do it.
Yes,
but no, it is going to be cold out there. Temperature starting off in the 20s will only make it up to 47 degrees for the high.
Maybe do an indoor can drive.
Hey, that works too.
Okay.
Whatever service you do it. But know that it's going to be cold.
And look, today's not going to be bad. I'm trying to get my 10,000 steps in today, so still good for an outdoor walk, just cloudy.
I think you'll be able to get it in.
No excuses.
Absolutely. That's right. Do it.
Chesley, thanks.
You got it.
All right, let's get on with some of the day's headlines. Always great having Chesley kick the show off with us talking about what's on your mind, and it's that cold weather. So, Chesley, thank you. All right, did you hear about this from overnight? A sad story out of Atlanta. A 16-year-old boy shot and killed overnight, and we are learning some new details. here at 10 o'clock this morning, including the name of this teenage boy. And at this very hour, we have reporters in our newsroom, just a few doors down from where I'm standing now, working to learn more about this teen, including where he went to school. In the meantime, let's get more from Stephanie Chaynock outside of APD headquarters.
Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office confirming this morning the name of that 16-year-old that was shot and killed overnight as 16-year-old Jamin White. We also have learned that he was a student at Maynard Jackson High School. Here's some images that have been shared with us. We also know that White was a member of the football team there. APD says it was just before 11 p.m. Monday night when they were called to Atlanta Fire Rescue Station number 38, and that's where they found White suffering from a gunshot wound. Now, this is a scene as police arrived on Furno Drive, a residential street where they do believe White was shot first before he was taken to the fire station. This is a look at the scene at the fire station on Donnelly Hollowell overnight, where investigators believe the teen was driven to in a desperate attempt to get medical help but was unsuccessful. Detectives are now working to figure out what exactly happened leading up to those shots being fired. Once we have an update, we'll have that on air and online. I'm Stephanie Chaynock here at APD headquarters, 11Alive News.
Detectives there busy behind Seth this morning, still working this case. We are now into the next day, 12 hours after that 16-year-old was gunned down. And we're staying on top of that story as we know detectives staying on top of this case. In the meantime, we also want to address another big story of the day, the Eggs and Issues breakfast. You know, happens every year. It's like the official economic kickoff to the Georgia legislative session. It's put on by the Georgia Chamber of Commerce. And you're watching here on 11Alive Plus when the governor started speaking not that long ago.
Trucks
Governor
hauling
Brian
goods.
Kemp up there. And he actually announced a sweeping infrastructure proposal at this breakfast this morning. Just going to run through some bullet points for you. What did the governor say just about 20 minutes ago? Well, he says he wants to earmark about $2 billion dedicated to I-75 South in Henry County for some dedicated express lanes. How about this? $200 million to continue upgrades along Georgia 316. That's, between Atlanta and Athens, and converting some intersections into interchanges and building more overpasses. If you have gone to a Georgia football game and tried to leave with everybody at the end of the fourth quarter, well, that could be long overdue, according to some people. Yeah, Kemp even said it shouldn't take you a full afternoon to get from Athens to Atlanta or vice versa. On top of all that, he also said he wants to set aside $50 million for a homelessness response grant to be paired with matching funds from local governments, some nonprofits, and private partners as well. So before today, we really didn't know what was on Kemp's agenda, what was on his mind for the upcoming legislative session. But we kind of got a peek there behind the curtain of what the governor is thinking as we move into the next few weeks. The House, the Senate, both gavelled in the session. They did it live when we were on the air with you here at 10 a.m. just a couple days ago. And now the governor officially this morning unveiling what's top of his mind, too. Hey, we got plenty more in store for you this morning here on 11Alive Plus. We have a packed show for you. We're talking to a doctor a little later this morning about ADHD in adults. It's something we talk about in kids, but not always grown-ups. So looking forward to that discussion. Also last night, the meeting that got heated in Decatur. It has to do with children, schools, and some upset parents. We're back in just 2 minutes. Welcome back at 10:11 on this Wednesday morning. Nice to be with you here on 11Alive Plus. Did you see this last night? The City of Decatur Schools Board, they are under pressure after a video leaked about transparency. It has to do with the potential closure of a local elementary school. And parents last night, well, safe to say they were heated. Let's get more from Angelina Salcido, who was at that meeting.
All five, all in. Lying is not leadership.
I mean, extremely disappointing.
It's the message parents want to send to the City Schools of Decatur board.
The more and more we uncover, it just seems like there's stuff going on underneath the covers that we can't see.
Open records requests filed by City of Decatur Schools show that the board and administration have misled us all for months.
Inside,
Lost of trust and confidence.
There's a trust problem in the community. Trust is earned through actions, not through intimidation or dismissing parents and community members for asking hard questions.
The board can start to regain our trust by acknowledging missteps.
It is not too late to do the right thing.
at the center of the issue, the potential closure of Westchester Elementary School and funding for an early childhood learning center.
Been lying to us for months.
This video alleges the district lied to families and planned to close the elementary school to generate income to pay for the learning center, even showing texts in a draft letter to parents by the developer.
The letter was a sample letter that was not drafted by the district.
Board Chair Dr. Carmen Sultan addressed the allegation, saying the talks about closing schools and building a learning center were separate conversations being held simultaneously.
We are not engaging in any illegal or unethical activities. We are also not deliberately trying to mislead the community.
Angelina Salcido, 11Alive News.
Angelina, thanks for that report. So here's what's going on right now. The board says that they considered school closures because there are two K-2 schools less than a mile apart. So we're looking at Decatur on this map I have pulled up on the screen here, and we're going to zoom in to show you these two schools in question. So here you have Westchester there on the left-hand side of your screen. That was the school that is potentially being talked about for closure. And then over on the right-hand side of your screen, you have Claremont Elementary School. Those two schools less than a mile away, just like a 4-minute drive, like a 10, 15-minute walk. And the argument there is that, well, these schools only have 130 or so fewer kids, 130 or fewer kids enrolled in each of them. So can we potentially close down one of those schools? That appears to be some of the discussions going on behind scenes. Parents got wind of that. That's when they filed that open records request. That's when they obtained that email that was listed as a draft. And that's when those parents issued an email there as well. So one of those moms we talked to said that everybody in school makes that place like a family. Speaking of Westchester Elementary School, she says it feels like home for her two boys. So this is one of those stories, probably not going anywhere anytime soon. We're keeping an eye on things in Decatur. And the one thing that parents asked for last night, they asked that all school closure decisions be stopped until the board has regained the community's trust. So that's the story from out of Decatur. Reams, are we talking ADHD right now? Let's talk ADHD right now. All right, this is going to be a fascinating conversation, and I'm really looking forward to this because when you think about ADHD, you often think about the childhood diagnosis, maybe the hyper kid in the elementary or middle school classroom. You know, a few of us fall under that category. But for adults, the hardest part comes after the diagnosis, right? So I'm happy to be joined this morning by Dr. Danya and Talia Thomas, public health epidemiologist and adult ADHD empowerment consultant in Atlanta. Well, it sounds like you're the perfect person to talk to, Dr. Thomas. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Mr. Kennedy. How are you doing? Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How is your day going so far?
You know what? Day's going great. I've been up since 4, so we're just zooming through the day, but I love the early morning
Yes,
hours,
sir.
so thank you for asking.
Okay.
Let's
You're
talk
welcome.
about ADHD and what it means for adults. What does it actually look like? Because, I mean, really, we usually all think about children, right?
Yes, definitely. Okay, so when most people think ADHD, like you said, you think childhood. But guess what? ADHD does not disappear. So it follows you into adulthood. This would look like burnouts. Sometimes, depending on how you parent your child or children, you'll get agitated easily. You'll forget things. You'll just miss deadlines. That's mainly how it shows up in adulthood.
Yeah, are there also adults out there who were never diagnosed as children? I'm thinking maybe like the 50 plus generation. I mean, was ADHD a taboo subject when they were growing up and not really diagnosed?
So it's so funny you said that because according to the CDC, at least 6% of the US excuse me, 6% of the adults in the US alone, that's about what, roughly 15.5 million people that have been diagnosed as an adult. And more than, no, they've been diagnosed, period. But more than half of that have actually been diagnosed in adulthood. So that's where I come in because then what's next? You get your medication, then you don't know what that means because once again, it's always talked about in childhood. So that's why I'm here and that's how I will come in. Because when adults are diagnosed with ADHD, their struggle is what next? Most workplaces, most schools, most institutions, they are looking for what? Memory, consistency, right? You're looking for stuff like that in the workplace and in schools. But guess what? That's not the kind of brain that we have. And that's why with Dania and Talia Consulting, what we do is try to create those tools that are that are specifically for your brain function. Because guess what? We are working in a system that does not fit this brain. Because guess I'm ADHD as well. I was diagnosed as a child, but that was with my mom. But as I got older as an adult, it started to surface itself, and I was so inconsistent and not doing things well. So for that reason, I could not find the resource, so I became the resource.
So you're working with adult professionals trying to navigate the workplace after they discover they have ADHD. Do you find there are
Yes, sir.
certain workplaces or careers that are custom suited to somebody like that?
Oh my God, epidemiology. Like data, because people like myself, we don't think in straight lines, we think in constellation. So for that reason, sitting down and hyperfixating on even coding, I love coding, stuff like that. Because once an ADHD person sits down with something that they want to do, they are so into it. They will take 2 hours for something that they have been trying to do for 2 whole months and 2 years. So yes, if you're doing stuff that will take a little bit more time, then it's very good for people with ADHD.
I throw out TV news, by the way. We also live in like 4-minute segments, so we get to cover a variety of issues all day. It's a lot of fun. You know, somebody's watching
Oh, wow.
and they're saying, you know, this sounds like me, but I've never been diagnosed. What next steps should they be taking, doctor?
Okay, well, let me just say first of all, although there's doctor in front of my name, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, and I'm not a licensed professional. What I am is somebody who has lived it. So for that reason, even if you have not been diagnosed with it, you might have ADHD like symptoms. You might be forgetting stuff, like I said. That's the number one thing. Like, for example, I will leave you with 3 simple things that people can take away today. Number one is getting out of your head. The fact that you can't remember things, you have to jot it down. So like when you're at work or when you're at school, write the things down. Create alarms, create schedules that you have to do. Like right now, I have boards on my wall. It doesn't matter what, even if it's a dental appointment, I write it on my board. Why? Because with ADHD, we're in our head and we have to get out of that and try and remember things, but you're not going to. And if you don't remember things, guess what? That leads to stress. And stress is going to amplify your ADHD. And that's what we're trying not to do. Right? So, and number 2, I want people to start small. Mr. Kennedy, I need everybody to start small. I know that it takes a task. For example, you have 8 steps that you need to take in order to accomplish something. I need you to forget steps 2 through 8. We're going to only focus on 1. Start small on purpose. Don't over exert yourself, right? And the last one I want everybody to be left with is work with the energy that you have. With ADHDers, I like to say ADHDers, we have so much energy. Sometimes your energy is in the morning, sometimes your energy is in the afternoon. Whatever time it is that you're at the highest, do your most important work first. do the hardest task, because then you're going to exert all that energy and hyperfixate on that task. So even if it is that you're not finished it, guess what? You finished a portion and you're further than you were yesterday, weren't you? Yes, sir. So that's where I come in. I just want to teach people you're not broken, guys.
Yeah.
Just come to me and let me create some tools that will help you fix, not fix, let me remove that word. We're not fixing anything. We're just creating a system that works best for ADHDers.
If I'm understanding it correctly, you're leaning into it, you're embracing it because in a way it's a gift.
Yeah, it's your superpower, Mr. Kennedy. It's your superpower. It's not a limitation. We've been told so much that we need to break free from all that we have, the stigma, the negative thoughts, breaking free. And that's why I had this book right here. It's 6 of us, and we're talking about breaking free from everything and going into entrepreneurship. So I teach it as well, Mr. Kennedy, because I know ADHDers want to do something with themselves. Come to me, guys. I got you.
Dr. D, thanks so much. How can we come to you? How can we get in touch with you if somebody's interested?
Yes, thank you so much for asking. Adultsmanagingadhd.com. That's it. Adultsmanagingadhd.com. And that has everything on there, all my social media, and everything on my social media is Dr. Dania Thomas.
It's a great conversation, Dr. Thomas. Dr. D, we appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to talk about an issue unfolding in North Georgia. We have a big article about this right now on 11alive.com. It's about the bird flu being discovered in Walker County and a number of birds that are now dead because of it. Happy to be joined by Jonathan Raymond here in the studio. He works on our digital team, writes so many of the stories that you read. Jonathan, second time in studio, and it's great having you.
It's lovely to be here. Yes.
Well, I wish it was for a better story. What were you able to uncover about the bird flu in Walker County?
Well, so the thing to sort of contextualize about this is that this is a major agricultural issue. I think when people hear like bird flu, they start to wonder, like, is that a public health kind of thing? Is it going through
humans?
Right. And so these kinds of avian flus, H5 classification, there's no evidence that there's person-to-person spread with those as of, at this point, according to the CDC. There are instances where people have contracted avian flu, I think 70 cases since 2024. That's from direct contact, working with birds, working in these really most of these occur at poultry farms, poultry operations, factory farm kind of thing.
Not somebody minding their own business walking down Peachtree and Buckhead.
Correct, right. Yeah, so this is a very kind of specific thing.
And is that nationwide numbers, the 70 or so that have contracted it?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And two deaths among those 70 cases.
So putting it in perspective.
It's not like a scary public health kind of thing.
Right.
But it is a major deal for the agriculture industry and why the Department of Agriculture in Georgia takes it very, very seriously. When these cases get confirmed, they mount a very robust response. I believe they said today it was disinfection, cleaning, disposal. They go through and depopulating the flocks where these outbreaks occur. According to the Department of Agriculture, there's been 4 of them in recent years since this sort of started in 2022 nationwide. And we've going back to those, there was one in October in Gordon County, so that was also North Georgia.
Yep.
This is in Walker County in North Georgia. There was also one in a backyard flock in Henry County in September, so that can happen as well. The big one that happened, or at least I should say the most significant one, was in Elbert County at the beginning of last year. And that led to a statewide suspension or moratorium on pretty much the whole range of poultry activity, which you would describe as, exhibition show, like these kinds of trade show or trade activity things for the poultry industry. That all got shut down for about a whole month.
Interesting.
So that's where the major response comes from.
So as far as Walker County goes, do we know what this means for the neighboring poultry operations? I mean, is there some sort of quarantine going on?
Yes, they do a 10-kilometer zone quarantine, and those farms, I believe, are monitored and tested for a period of 2 weeks, possibly longer. It's at least 2 weeks. But in this case, it's unclear that it will be any more serious in the way that Elbert County one was. The Department of Agriculture Commissioner, Tyler Harper, he put on Twitter, on X, that the Georgians can remain 100% confident in the safety of poultry products at their local grocery store or restaurant.
Okay.
There's no threat to the safety and security of our state's food supply. That's the message right now.
So the chicken, when I go to buy a chicken breast today at Kroger, it's not going to be an extra couple dollars because we're looking at low supply.
No. And there are surrounding states that supply chickens as well, but as it happens, Georgia is the nation's #1 producer of chickens.
Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's a very, very important industry. Agriculture is the state's #1 industry, and within that, chickens are a very huge part of it. So it becomes, something that they take very seriously.
As do we. We appreciate you breaking down this story for us. Go check out Jonathan Raymond's article. It is on 11alive.com right now. Sir, appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely.
Giving us some important perspective to the bird flu story. All right, we're back after this short break. We had Chesley on not long ago talking about how cold it's going to get tonight. So how can you winterize your home as we head into the evening hours? Don't want to miss this. Coming up in just a few minutes. We are just a few days away from the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday coming up on Monday, but the days of service already kicking off today, and several 11 Alive employees taking part of this. They are packing hygiene kits right now. This is going on at Guardian Works in Atlanta. Our 11 Alive meteorologist, Danielle Moss, is there helping out. Danielle, good morning. Great to see you. What's going on there today?
Good morning, Dan. We are having such a good time out here. Things are just now getting started. They just gave us the instructions of what we need to do and how we can handle this. But this is always fun and exciting to be able to give back to the community that we're in. And it's not just us. This is a community-wide event. We're here with Hands On Atlanta. They partnered. They started this whole thing. They've pulled in a lot of big companies that are here in Atlanta, and we are all here today giving back for MLK Days of Service. This is Naomi Green. Naomi Green is really cool. She's the CEO of Hands On Atlanta, and we've been talking, and she is a native Atlantan, just like us, and yes, and we love having this opportunity to come here and volunteer with you all. Naomi, talk a little bit about what's happening here today. Give people a little bit of an idea of what exactly is going to be happening.
Today is just one example of many activities that are going to happen this week during our MLK Days of Service. As mentioned, today we have Fiserv, Home Depot, the Atlanta Dream, One Digital. They're all out supporting our Days of Service. During this activity, they're going to be packing some hygiene kits to help support Atlanta's unhoused community, making sure that, especially during these cold nights that are upcoming, folks can stay comfortable. And it takes a lot of hands to make sure that our community stays warm and safe and secure. So we really appreciate having them out.
Now, this is definitely not the first year that you all have been doing this. Talk a little bit about how long this initiative has been going on in the city.
This has been happening for more than 20 years in Atlanta. Michelle Nunn and a couple of local Atlantans are the founders of the Hands on Atlanta initiative. And we are just building on the platform and the foundation that they created. And so excited to be able to do that and continue to serve our city in such a powerful way.
Right, and that is very important because when we talk about giving back, we talk about, being there for our unhoused communities. This is very big because these hygiene kits, they go a long way, right?
Yeah.
How many are you expecting to pack today?
I think the goal today is 2,000. This is our third event. On Monday we packed 2,000, so I'm assuming the goal may be similar. However, this looks like a much bigger and more enthusiastic crowd, so I'm feeling good about them being able to beat that goal. Should we put them to the test?
Yes, absolutely. Exactly. Dan, there's so many people here today, and we have had a great opportunity to talk to some of them and really meet them, and everyone is ecstatic about being here today. We took a big group photo outside. You can see all the smiles and all the excitedness. We haven't quite started packing all of the hygiene kits yet, but we are going to get it done. Now, Hands on Atlanta, you guys have been really pushing forward and trying to get people to say MLK Day is not just a day off, but it is a day on.
That's right.
Talk a little bit about what that means for the city and how people can get involved.
Yep. So our goal is to engage more than 3,000 volunteers between Monday the 12th and Monday the 19th. On the 19th, MLK Day proper, there are more than 50 volunteer opportunities on that day alone. And many are still open, so we encourage both corporations and individuals alike to get engaged in their community, whether your passion is the outdoors, whether you want to serve the unhoused community, whether you want to serve students or help with education. Hands on Atlanta is just such a great entry point to anything that you care about that makes our city a greater place to live, work, and play.
I love that, and that's so important. So we're not the only ones out here. 11Alive is giving back. There's a whole group of us. We're split up. We were kind of bamboozled. They told us, grab a name tag. It doesn't matter what color you have, and that's good, though, because it gets us involved in meeting other people, and they split us up by color, and so now we're going to start packing the bags and doing our job to really, we're going to beat 2,000. I'm competitive. We are definitely going to be 2,000. So we're on it, Dan. We're here in the community, obviously giving back to the community that we love and that we're in every single day.
Well, you better get to it, Danielle. You got that red name tag representing Team Red, and I know they need your help right now. We appreciate you.
Exactly.
Have fun out there. Great to see you guys out there at Guardian Works. Thanks so much. Well, it's at least they're indoors today. The temperature's not too bad right now, but it is dropping as the day goes on. Meteorologist Melissa Noor joining me here in studio. Second day in a row. Yesterday we were talking about funky water. Today we're talking about winterizing your home, right?
Yeah, winterizing your home. And I have a question for you.
Yes.
Okay. How many millions or billions of dollars do you think that the United States had last year during winter season from winter weather-related chaos?
Like insurance claims?
Yeah, insurance claims.
$4 billion.
Why'd you read my sheet?
Is that right?
Yeah, $4 billion.
Wow.
In insured losses and home damage from winter weather last year, the 10-year total is $60 billion.
You know what? I was one of those. My pipes froze a couple years ago,
Oh, yeah.
and I've pledged to make sure that never happens again. So the water is a running tonight.
The water is a running, little drip in the faucet. That's
Yeah.
right. So one of the things that the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety, they're all about, testing products so that your home can withstand the elements a lot more. And you'd actually be interested. It's interesting to know that a lot of these insured losses can be preventable if you have the right materials in your house and you're staying weather knowledgeable. Yeah. So Rachel Gauthier, a meteorologist with IBHS, I spoke to her about number one, what you need to be doing in general during winter, but especially those coldest nights of the year, what you need to be doing. So first, we've had a couple of cold snaps, but this is going to be our most prolonged cold that we're expecting of the year. So here's what she says that you should be doing today in advance of that cold to make sure that your house is staying the most energy efficient.
Walk around your home, and often there can be slight gaps or cracks underneath doors. I know I've had some underneath my front door, allowing that water or that cold air to come in, and it actually does let water in as well. In the event that there's a winter storm, whether that's heavy rain or winter precipitation, water can make its way through those gaps and cracks around windows and doors. So really just simple caulking from your local hardware store will take care of that problem. Just go ahead and freshen that up. Make sure that, you seal up those gaps and cracks. That's, again, going to keep any water out of your home, and it's also going to keep the heat in and make sure your home is more energy efficient during those colder months. You don't want your heater having to work harder than it needs to during this time of the year.
So, as you mentioned while she was talking, keeps the bugs out too.
You gotta caulk those holes, yeah.
Those cockroaches, they find their way in my house
There you
regardless. But yes, it's a great point because you can also save a lot of money by doing that.
Mhm.
Keeps the cold air out, the warm air in, but it also prevents when we get heavy rain events, some of that rain getting in as well.
Right.
But when we get these colder nights, when we're down in the teens and eventually single digits, some of these winter nights, you have to think about those pipes. We always talk about the 4 Ps. People, pets, pipes, and plants.
Mhm.
And the coldest nights, and when you don't climb above freezing one afternoon, it's often those pipes we want to pay attention to. So here's some good reminders from Rachel about what you should be doing tonight to watch your pipes.
Making sure that your pipes are protected, because a lot of times pipes are not insulated as well as in homes that are built in northern climates. So, really focusing in on some of those exterior walls. Those are the ones where pipes are often not going to be insulated enough for these prolonged below freezing temperatures. So, making sure that you insulate them with foam is a good start. And then, some of those pipes on the interior, you can do things like, open the cabinets up, let that warm air that's in your home circulate to keep those pipes from freezing. And more importantly, if you're not going to be home during the winter months, make sure that thermostat is set at a minimum of 55 degrees. And that's going to be to prevent those pipes from freezing inside your home in the event that you're not there.
55 degrees. So a couple of winters ago, it was Christmas 2023. Is that when yours burst?
No, well,
Or
it actually
2022?
was. I was living in Virginia. It was the same system that moved
Yeah.
through and burst everybody's pipes down here, too.
Yeah, mine
Yeah.
burst. I had a 6-week-old newborn at home. That was fun.
Oh, no.
But most people who've been through that, they know, okay, what do I need to do? My exterior pipes that are not insulated,
Yeah.
keep the cabinet open to those exterior walls. And if you notice they're freezing, thaw them out. Now, with that being said, we talk about pipe safety. I don't think this cold snap we're getting is widespread pipe bursting cold.
Okay.
There'll be a couple nights down in the low 20s, but as long as you can thaw during the afternoon, you're going to make it through the next night. So make sure that the next day it's not frozen over. You want to thaw anything out so that when you get to the second night of cold, you're not freezing even more. Now, IBHS is very interesting. They're a nonprofit, and what they do is they test all these building materials to make sure that your house can withstand the elements from Mother Nature a lot more. You'd be amazed by some of the technology that they've created with testing shingles and siding and everything. Let me have Rachel tell you a little bit more about it.
We are a nonprofit scientific research organization, and while we're funded by the insurance industry, we are working to reduce losses for homeowners and business owners across the country. We are looking at how different materials perform, everything from siding materials to roofing materials, and we're finding out how they stand up against the different elements. There's trusted materials and new emerging materials, and we're just doing the research on them to find out how they stand up to the different elements. So what we really believe is that most of the losses that happen from severe weather are actually preventable. We have the science and the know-how to actually engineer our way out of a lot of damage. So that's what we're all about here at IBHS, is finding ways that home and business owners can strengthen their homes against severe weather. And in turn, we hope that, we'll remove some of that headache and prevent some of that avoidable loss.
So cold night tonight, but you're saying, I mean, it's not going to be a widespread issue for folks.
No, I don't think it will, but it's a big shock to the system. We were at 62 yesterday. It was so warm and nice outside. Let me show you where the Arctic front is moving in from. Right now, it's on our doorstep. There's a few showers south and east of Atlanta that have been moving in, and it's that front that's going to bring us more showers later on this evening. And yes, some flakes in the North Georgia mountains, but let me talk about wind chills. As we move forward in time, you can see those wind chills dropping by tomorrow morning to the low teens here in the metro, single digits in the North Georgia mountains. I mentioned those 4 Ps, the pipes, the pets, the plants, but also people. Dress tomorrow warmly in lots of layers. Don't leave a lot of exposed skin if your kids have to wait extra long for that bus tomorrow morning. It's just a gusty, blustery day tomorrow. All afternoon, those wind chills will stay in the 20s, and then Friday morning, even colder air will be out there. So highs drop to 37 tomorrow. That's our coldest so far of the winter. We'll see reinforcing cold coming in on Saturday into Sunday, and you know, we're still watching the chances of winter weather over the weekend. We're still not seeing a lock in those models, so I wouldn't panic over anything right now. This evening, though, a little bit of changeover in those North Georgia mountains still possible. I think accumulations are going to be incredibly minimal on grassy elevated surfaces and those highest elevations. So hopefully not many issues tomorrow morning for the bus for those schools up there. But, Dan, that's something we'll be watching as well.
Certainly.
Black ice that could form.
You know, it's hard to believe just 4 days ago, there was a tornado in Carroll County.
I know.
And here we are talking about snow.
It happens every January. We can have severe weather. We can have snow systems.
Yeah.
That is the wild card month of January for us every year.
All right. Well, thank you for being here to walk us through it. Melissa Nord, appreciate that. And coming up in just a couple minutes, we're joined by another special guest. We are talking about the latest when it comes to the Falcons head coaching search, and also what's going on with Gainesville High School and a title just stripped. It's coming up next with Maria Martin. We're back in 2 minutes. Welcome back on this Wednesday morning. It is 10:43. We're here with you live in the streaming center for the next 20 minutes or so, and happy to be joined now by Maria Martin. She was with us for a few days last week because, I mean, it was just sports news after sports news here in Atlanta, and you are looking well rested.
Oh, that's really nice of you. Because I don't feel well rested.
It's just been
it's
so
the ultimate
busy.
compliment. Yeah, no.
I mean, you cannot relax. You cannot sleep on Atlanta sports news. I mean, let's start with Gainesville High School.
Yeah.
Because they had such an incredible run in the postseason, but their runner-up title just got stripped.
Yeah, because there was an ineligible player in one of their games, which is just the ultimate letdown for a team that had to overcome so much adversity in the postseason. Yeah. And they had so many internal battles with the GHSA throughout that entire run. And it's miraculous that they went as far as they did in the midst of all of that, and then all to be stripped away from their runner-up state title. It's really unfortunate. It's unfortunate for the kids who put in a lot of work throughout that, but rules are rules, and the GHSA they will find out if you're doing something that you shouldn't be.
I guess so, and I think questions going to be asked over how did this happen in a game with such high stakes, but that's for further down the road.
For sure.
All right, I know a lot of you want to know about the Falcons, and Maria was there yesterday as they introduced Matt Ryan as the new president of football. Is that the title?
President of football, yeah.
All right,
It's a new one.
What was it like being there? And I mean, what was that welcome like for Matt Ryan coming home?
It was great because I've been around Matt for a really long time now, and so it just felt very familiar, although it was different in the sense that he's not a player anymore. He's now an executive. That feels a little bit weird. Might get some time to get used to that. But it was cool because his boys were there, as everybody knows. They call them the Ice Cubes. I don't know how long we're going to be able to call the twins the Ice Cubes, though, because they're getting older. They're 7 now. So there's them, and then Cal is the little one. He's almost 3, and he was... I'm going to say contributing, okay? He was contributing to the press conference a couple different times. He did great. It was an hour long. That's a long time for an almost 3-year-old. And his wife, Sarah, was there as well. So it was very much a family affair. It was awesome. I think that Arthur Blank had a lot of really amazing things to say about Matt. He always has ever since they drafted him back in 2008. But this is a guy who had no idea that Atlanta was going to become his home when he was drafted in 2008. He literally came to the city of Atlanta 2 times before he ever got drafted. That's it. He had no familiarity with the city, and now it's everything that Matt Ryan is. And so I think that he is the perfect person to be this president of football. That's also a new term that people are going to have to get used to. It's a first ever role for the organization, and it was just a fantastic day.
I think he's going to be perfect for this role, and I think a lot of people agree with you there. But, you know, no front office experience. Is that a hurdle he's going to have to overcome? Was that an elephant in the room yesterday, or is it just kind of like, you know, he's the hometown hero now. Let's welcome him back to salvage the Falcons.
Well, if it was an elephant in the room, my bad, Matt, because I asked the first question, and I asked him about not having any experience in the front office. Yeah, because you do have to address that, right? You know, his football acumen and his football experience, it speaks for itself. He did it his entire life. And I think that especially at the quarterback position, you know so much more about the field and the game and every single position on the field because you have to than other players on the field. And so I think that speaks for itself. And he can identify and relate to the players in a way that a lot of executives can't. Now, when it comes to the executive experience, yeah, that's going to be a learning curve, as it would be for anyone. But his response to me was, there's a first-time hire for everything. And it's true. Yeah. You're a head coach for the first time at some point in your career. You're an executive for the first time at some point in your career. And he's been doing his homework for a really long time, which is impressive.
Look, I'm curious to know how his hiring is going to influence Atlanta's ability to attract top talented coach. Does that mean something if Matt Ryan is calling you up and asking for the interview?
I think that depends. That's a good question. So if you're a long-time established coach, I don't really think it does anything for you. In fact, it may deter you to a level because there is no experience there in the front office. But Matt is such a personable guy, and he's someone that's so well-connected that I think those are the type of hurdles that he can easily overcome. I do think in some scenarios it could be to his detriment because if you've got a long-time established head coach with a lot of experience in the National Football League, he's going to look at Matt and say, well, what can you do for me? Because you've never done this before. Right. And it could be helpful to those coaches because they may feel like they can manipulate Matt in a certain way, although I don't think they're going to be able to do that. Matt has a very clear vision in what he wants for this organization. That was a big message and a big talking point yesterday is that he has expectations. He's always had them ever since he got drafted. It was to be a champion and win championships. Unfortunately, that never happened for Matt here. And so now he gets the opportunity to still win a Super Bowl ring just as an executive. So, you know, there's some hurdles for him to overcome, but I think overall the overarching thing that I want Falcons fans to take away is this is very positive because you finally have someone in there that's not afraid to make the hard choice.
All right, and a hard choice is going to be made in, what, do you think maybe a week or two? Do you think we could find out who the head coach is?
Well, there's a lot of pressure on certain people when it comes to established head coaches that are looking for jobs. I'm talking about John Harbaugh. He's interviewing in person with the Giants today, and the Giants have an ability to hire him on the spot. They are the only team in the NFL that has completed every single thing on their bullet list in order to hire a head coach. So there's a chance the Giants are going to do everything they can to allow him not to walk out of that building today. Now, I will say it has been very well documented. John Harbaugh is interested in the Falcons. He's interested in a couple of different spots, and this is, as we have illustrated over the last week, a very intriguing job, especially for a John Harbaugh. So Matt's going to do everything he can. I mean, they were talking about his tenacious nature, how he was on the football field, but they said, listen, you guys aren't in these rooms when he's doing these interviews. He's tenacious. He's just as tenacious as he was on the football field. So I think he's going to be also very aggressive, but it's important to remember that as this head coach search heats up around the National Football League, that creates a little bit more pressure on the Falcons to get it right and get the guy that they want in here.
It got a little more complicated yesterday with Mike Tomlin announcing he's leaving the Pittsburgh Steelers after 19 seasons. I mean, he's like 50, early 50s, so he's got some gas left in the tank. So now you got the Pittsburgh job open. You got Baltimore. You mentioned the Giants, Tennessee, Arizona, Vegas, Miami, Cleveland. Where does Atlanta rank for most attractive jobs now that you got some of those bigger ones open too?
I'd say they're probably top 5 still. You know, I would have said earlier whenever this first started happening and you and I first started documenting this, they were probably top 3, top 2. But now they slide a little bit because you've got some serious postseason contenders that are open and long-time jobs that you never look at the Steelers and think that that job's going to be open. And you never thought that Mike Tomlin was going to step down. I say that in air quotes because who knows what actually happened there. The pressure was on Mike Tomlin for a long time for him to step aside. And who knows if he's going to continue coaching, but I still think Atlanta's an attractive job. The biggest question mark now for Atlanta, which is the one that was the biggest question mark in the beginning, but when you compare it to other head coaching jobs, it starts to get a little bit more of a circle on that question mark, is the quarterback position. Some of these established head coaches are going to come in here and say, well, what am I supposed to do with this? Some may like it. Some may see it as a challenge they want to take on. And some may say there's better openings out there with more established quarterbacks.
So that's the challenge. What are the opportunities for the incoming coach with the Falcons?
I think there are plenty, you know, and Matt illustrated a couple of them. Number one, he said he really likes how young and good the defensive side of the ball is. Who would have said that about the Falcons even just 2 years ago? So I think putting in those young pieces in place, having a rookie that gave you 10.5 sacks this year in James Pierce Jr., that's a really big sign that there are great things to come on that side of the football. On the offensive side, you got a once-in-a-lifetime player in Bijan Robinson. You have Drake London, who presumably is going to be healthy next year. I don't know what's going to happen with Kyle Pitts. He could be an Atlanta Falcon. He could not. It's possible. But you've got a lot of pieces in place that can take you to the next step. Okay. It's the quarterback position that's concerning. And hilariously enough, Matt Ryan, now an executive, played with Jake Matthews, who is on the offensive line for the Atlanta Falcons. That's going to be weird. It's going to be weird for Jake,
circle.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. He protected him back in the day, and let's see what
hilarious?
Matt does for him. That's funny. Look, never a dull moment. I love watching a good coaching search, too. The carousel's so fun, and I know you'll keep us surprised as things develop.
You know, it's crazy, Dan. It's my reality television. I love it. I love sports. I think it's so dramatic.
Yes.
It's just as good as The Real Housewives, in my opinion. In fact, it's more entertaining sometimes because these guys can get a little crazy. So buckle up because I think it's going to get wilder than it is right now.
I'm with you. I've been telling my wife the same thing, but she's still watching Love Island or whatever.
What's your wife's name?
Kelly.
Kelly, we're going to have to get you on this coaching carousel news.
All right. Great to have you, Maria.
Thank you.
Thanks. And we're back in just a couple minutes. More local news straight ahead. Hey, good morning. Welcome back. Great to be with you as we are watching the latest on Wall Street. You know, the bell rang about an hour and a half ago, the opening bell, and it's another down day, at least for the Dow, down half a percentage point, 270 points or so that equates to. A lot of this might have to do with bank earnings. Bank of America and Wells Fargo slipping a little bit after earnings. So could be the earnings, could also be the latest with the Federal Reserve investigation and what we're watching with Jay Powell. All right, but now we are back here in Atlanta, and we are talking about a historic renovation when it comes to the Ashby Street Theater. Let's get more from Joe Ripley.
On the west side of Atlanta, the old Ashby Street Theater is due for repairs.
There are holes in the roof. There's a wall falling down.
Jay Scott with Green Rock Partners is working to secure funding for the building owned by the Atlanta Business League.
When it was built in 1934, it was the first time that people in this community could go in the front door of a movie theater instead of having to climb up the fire escape.
Milton Jones grew up in the neighborhood. He remembers the drugstore across the street and the travel agency next door.
The theater itself, ran movies. It took a while to get to our neighborhood. But when they got here, everybody wanted to go see them.
Bringing this old theater back to life requires a little modern-day technology.
I think we have a lot of different concerns and a lot of different pieces to it. So AI can help us actually manage that complexity and find ways to make it more cost-effective and also meet the needs of the community.
Architects Patrick Chopson and Ed Aiken say they're keeping the economy and community in mind.
I would say those are the major headwinds, just making sure we have the availability of resources, both in labor and materials, moving through the project.
Atlanta Business League President and CEO Leona Barr Davenport says the project could take about $15 million and at least 5 years to complete.
I think of it as a place called home. And this will be our home for entrepreneurs and black business owners.
For Norris Hunt, this home to so much history is worth the effort to revive.
Once it is restored, it's like a jewel that you found, a shiny penny you found in the dust, that we can take it up out of the dust and dust it off and replace it in its rightful place. And it can really begin to spark that kind of interest and that kind of rejuvenation that this neighborhood really longs for.
And get this, the renovated Ashby Street Theater will also house the Black Business Hall of Fame. So, Reams, great to see it getting a new lease on life.
Yeah, no, I think it's important, especially, I know the Fox Foundation, the Fox Theater Foundation in Atlanta, they also every year hand out money to about a dozen different organizations around the state working to help revitalize some of these older theaters across the state. Saw that coming a couple months ago. I was trying to find it there a second ago, but there's always something going on. I think it's super important that we're working to help keep these historical places around that have served these neighborhoods for decades and centuries. I think it's.
I took a tour of the Fox Theater around New Year's, and it's so impressive. Built in 1929, and they almost tore that thing down at one point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for modernization, but there comes a point. There's just some things that are worth keeping around. Yeah. I think those cultural milestones, those cultural touch points that are just so important for our communities to keep around.
It's good to see the Ashby Street Theater going to be sticking around too. Always love a good conversation with Reams, and we try to have some of these conversations every morning as we work through the day's headlines, giving you some context behind the news. We do it from this 11Alive streaming center that we've built out just for this 10 a.m. hour for now to bring you some of the day's biggest headlines, breaking news as it happens, and unpacking some of the stories that you were talking about, like this morning, ADHD and adults winterizing your home as we're getting ready for the big chill tonight, and also the latest when it comes to the search for a Falcons head coach. Now with Matt Ryan leading the charge to find a new coach as we look live at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We'll leave you with that look coming up in just 1 minute right here on 11Alive Plus. More on the Eggs and Issues meeting put on by the chamber that happened right there at Mercedes-Benz a little earlier this morning. Also, the latest on a 16-year-old killed overnight in Atlanta. We have learned that teen's name. What more have we learned about the victim and the search for suspects? That's coming up straight ahead